There we go. All right. So hello, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to our educational workshop, Creativity in Today's Printed Communications. I'm Julia DeFrancis. I'm a senior marketing coordinator at BL Companies, and I'm currently president for SMPS Connecticut for at least a few more weeks. Before we get started, I just want to thank the Education Committee for hosting and planning this workshop for us, as well as our moderator and panelists for joining us today. We have a lot to cover, so before I pass it over to them, I just want to mention some housekeeping items. Please keep your microphones muted and your cameras off so we can focus on the panel as they're presenting. And then, as always, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll get to them at the end of the panel. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Ruth, I believe, and take it away.
Thank you. With this,
get the got it screen.
Pardon?
I don't know if you want to clear the got it screen. I'm seeing that. I don't know if others are seeing that on their screen.
I'm seeing the print screen,
Okay.
the title slide.
Okay, well, if you'd like to advance, I'll get started.
Right.
What and why? I have a feeling I know what people are thinking right now and why they are. For example, who really needs print these days when we have wall-to-wall digital communications? What about the environmental impact of printing and the cost and the time? As I hope this particular slide will outline, our goal is actually to address the what and the why of creative new developments in reprographics, special effects, digital printing, and large-scale output. Our three panelists will be speaking for around 10 minutes each, and in between they'll be fielding 3 questions which were submitted by you, the audience. So let's go mix in some print with our marketing communications and savor the flavor, because this is definitely not your father's or your mother's print industry. Panel, are you ready to start with question number 1?
Absolutely.
Ready. Let's do that then. What is your current thinking about sustainability in printing?
The answer for us is we believe in sustainability, of course, and recycling our paper as we use it. And we've had this option for our clients to use recycled paper for many, many years. And they do. We have a certain number of clients that ask for recycled material, and we print on it and use that. And some of the roadblocks with that, it's just been the cost associated with recycled paper, but yet it is available, and we certainly provide it.
So in my case, I've been seeing a trend towards more recycled content in paper that's available. So most paper that we use has recycled content, and there are even brands that are now producing paper in a way that's carbon neutral. So Strathmore, for example, which is a large brand, all their production is carbon neutral. And of course, paper is biodegradable. The trees that are used to produce it, it's farmed as a crop. So, while I have a great deal of environmental concerns, the sustainability of using paper is not one of them. I feel comfortable with that.
So from our perspective, with our clients and actually our clients' clients, we kind of drive it from what their need may be or what their differentiator may be when they're in pursuing a project. We have corporate clients that have actually rules and regulations about sustainability that goes through material. And, with our temporary wall systems that we offer, the client gets a benefit of showing their client that they're using, less drywall. Even a pursuit where we're doing marketing binders, we've had clients going after a pulp and paper business, and we actually did the binders made out of wood. So we want to always enable the clients to know that they can add on sustainability to our products which actually could either help them in the pursuit as a differentiator or help them with their own internal company to kind of meet certain rules with leads and other organizational structures.
Okay, thank you. And that brings us to our first presentation. When I ask myself how innovative applications for reprographics could best be explained, the person who comes to my mind first is Brian from Plans for Less. So Brian, take it away.
Thanks so much, Ruth. Thank you everyone for being here today. Very happy to join this panel with Hillary and Bruce and all of my friends out there at SMPS today. Big supporter of SMPS, been involved with SMPS for over 20 years. I'm currently running plansforless.com, and we print blueprints and specifications for the entire AEC market. And that's been our niche and our strong suit for the last 8 years. We've concentrated on that. But from time to time, we get asked by our customers about different solutions for their problems. They come to us and ask us to get involved in some different things. It's not traditional reprographics. And today I'd like to share a couple of examples of some of the things that clients have come to us and asked us to do. And our first example today is we had a general contractor that was building a couple of hospitals. And before they build the hospital completely in construction, what they do is print full-size mock-ups of the rooms that they're going to be building inside the hospitals. And for the GC, it was a very costly and time-consuming project to do so, because what they want to do is before they build the hospital floors with each of these rooms, they have the doctors and the nurses come in and make sure that the layout is correct. Make sure the bed is in the right spot, make sure the controls are in the right spot, make sure the plugs are in the right spot before completing the project. Because imagine completing it and then not having the nurses and the doctors find that these rooms are workable and having to make changes after that. So the GC said, let's get the design team, let's get the nurses and the doctors into the building. And this warehouse, we'll build these full-size rooms and have them come in. And if there's any changes that need to be made, we can make them instantly with everybody in the same room. So for an example, they sent us these elevations that you can see on the blueprint on the left-hand side with the blue border. And what they asked us to do is take each one of these elevations, which happen to be about 3 inches tall and about 5 to 6 inches wide. It was 3/16 of an inch equals a foot. And they asked us if we can print those at full scale, a 1-to-1, 1 foot equals 1 foot. Print those out and then bring them to the warehouse and install them on the temporary walls that they had built within this warehouse and hang them as if they were wallpaper. So after some thought and figuring out how we would do this, we agreed to take on the project, and it's now been a part of something we've done for some time now. And my next slide, you can see on the left-hand side here, you can see that we've taken those 3-inch by 5-inch elevations off of that drawing and have now produced those at 1-to-1 scale. And those drawings, they are laid out on our floor inside of our office. And we're making sure that everything lines up before we get out to the warehouse to hang them as wallpaper. And you can see on the right-hand side, our team is out there with our ladders and our painter's tape, and we're applying those panels on the temporary walls. So then when the doctors and the nurses come in, they could see that the room layout is either correct and they can go ahead with construction, or they make changes and the architect is there right on the spot to redline everything and go back to the drawing board and produce some new plans and some new elevations. In the next slide, you can see that we've finished this room. And we've done 2 hospitals so far and produced 7 full-size room mock-ups to date. And as you can see, back when we first started, we used some blue painter's tape on there, and it was a kind of a complex project, but we worked with the GC very closely to do some tests, and they've now utilized reprographics in a different way and printing blueprints in a much different way. The next example of having a good relationship with your printer and asking them what they can do that's different outside of the normal day-to-day was another GC who came to us and said, we have team meetings every single morning in our job site. And we want to have what we want to call a working blueprint that we can modify every single day in front of the team, in front of all the subcontractors, and know where the subcontractors are working within a building every day. And so the GC came to us and said, what can we do? And we said, well, let's look at printing the floor plans and then putting a dry erase laminate on those floor plans and mounting them to a board, and then hanging those boards up inside the site trailers. If you can go to the next slide, it'd be great. So in this slide, you can see that we printed the floor plans for this particular school. And with some dry erase markers, the GC and the subcontractors can come together every single morning and know which rooms each subcontractor is going to be working in. So if you wanted to say that the painters were working on these rooms, they marked the rooms in red. If they said the tile guys are coming in because the painters are finished, the rooms marked in yellow are going to be worked on this particular day. And every day they would review it again and move the subcontractors from one floor or from one room to the other, and have this working blueprint that lasted for the life of the project. And what they asked us to do, not only make sure that they were dry erase, but we also came up with some standard icons that they wanted us to print on a magnetic sheet and cut out. And then they asked us to apply a magnetic backing to the dry erase board. So not only was it a dry erase board, but it was also magnetic. And in the next slide, you can see one of the magnetic pieces that they're applying right to that board. And which was really, really a great idea for them to make this a working board, because then they can see where things are going to move on the job site during the course of the project. So not only did you have the interior part being taken care of the building, you had the exterior part of the building, which is also transforming every single week or every single month, where they're moving the site trailer, or where the garbage is going to be, or where the entrance and exits, emergency entrance is going to be on the site. So this was a real clever idea that we came up with for the GC, and we've utilized these working blueprints on many projects now. On the next slide, you can see how it all works together. How you have the working plan, where the site trailer is, where the entrance and exits are, and where they're storing the trash. And again, this can be moved very easily. It's very simple for the subcontractors to look at, take a picture with their phone, and know what rooms they're going to be working on, or where things are going to be during the course of the project on any particular day. And as I said earlier, I'm so happy to be a part of this group. I've enjoyed talking with Hillary and Bruce and seeing their presentations. And again, my name is Brian Burke from Plans for Less, and thank you again.
Thanks, Brian. That was great. A lot of new ideas there, and always enjoy listening to them.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, that brings us to the second question. If everybody's ready, what are your clients' greatest roadblocks to success?
Ruth, that's a great question. And my answer to that question is, I think our clients sometimes are not understanding of how long things take to produce. I think we live in the world of everything is on their phone, and it's so instant. We have Amazon Prime, where you can order and have things delivered the next day or even the same day in certain markets of the US. So sometimes clients come to us and they submit an order and think it's an hour or 2 hours before we could have that produced and turned around and delivered to a job site or sent to their office. So I think one of the roadblocks for us is helping our clients understand what the time frame is to produce certain items. And when they send over an order, it gives us an opportunity to then get on the phone, not just trade emails back and forth or text messages, but really get on the phone and explain the process and help them understand. So the next time they come around, we're all in a better place understanding each other and what the expectations are, because you always want to exceed the expectations and never overpromise and underdeliver.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say my answer to that question is pretty similar to Brian's. I think the greatest roadblock is having enough time to complete the project in the way that the customer would want, to be able to give them everything they want. Plenty of things can be turned around last minute, but a lot of times people have special requests, and the sooner we're brought into the process, the more successful it's going to be. And whether it's just having enough time to go through what may be a multi-step process, or make sure that we have the kind of paper that they want, check availability, that kind of stuff. It's always good to kind of have a heads up and get into the process sooner rather than later.
Makes sense.
So I think, again, taking it from the from our client's vantage point, and I am echoing something that Brian and Hillary both mentioned, is that you're looking for creativity, you're looking for the best solutions, and you don't have enough time to get it there. Which is why, at least at ABC, we open at 7 a.m. and we don't close till 10, because we know marketing requirements come up at every hour because you're under pressure yourself. So it is very helpful to try and consider us as advisors, consider us creatively to give you solutions, and then to execute them. So what are the pain points? The pain points are, I don't have enough time to get it printed and get it delivered. ABC, we have an advantage. We have 30 offices around the country. So a lot of times for us, and I'm sure Brian and Hillary can make this happen too with their connections, we can save time by printing it locally. Very often they don't have an idea of materials, so we can save time by showing examples on the web. So we can be the advisor. We can help the pain point of not having a lot of time. And then we are also very driven by technology. So you want to make sure that we can accept your files quickly, and we can move your files around, and we can paginate them. We can give you the questions back and forth. So I think, like I said, there are a lot of pain points that come up that we live and breathe every day with each of your various clients. So we can take ideas that we've learned and things that we've seen and then apply them to say, oh, well, you can save time by using this process, or you can, anticipate 2 weeks for this material to come in, and then realize you don't have 2 weeks, and we come up with a nice compromise. So yes, there are going to be pain points. You're under pressure. You have your pursuits to get out. You have your projects. Now you have COVID. People aren't even in the offices. We're dealing with that day in, day out, and just have some trust in us to play an early part in the project, or in whatever the solution that you're looking for.
Sounds good. Okay. And now for how special effects using digital printing can be made more creative and more accessible. I figure a good choice is Hillary. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ruth. I'm Hillary Woman. I'm Vice President of Rapid Press. We're a digital and offset print shop founded in 1979. We were an early adopter of digital black and white printing, then expanded into digital color printing, which now constitutes the largest share of our revenue. When Xerox introduced its Iridesse digital press with specialty dry inks, we saw that as an opportunity to provide new and exciting options to our customers. Xerox likes to say the Iridesse color press goes beyond CMYK. What does that mean? A traditional digital press, just like an office color printer, uses cyan, magenta, yellow, and black toner. Now we have the ability to add specialty dry inks, which are silver, gold, white, and clear. Briefly, without getting too technical, the Iridesse can print 6 inline colors, meaning prints come off the press in a single pass with all these special digital embellishments. So looking at the press, we see cyan, magenta, yellow, and black toner, plus an underlay, which is the position to the left of the black, and an overlay to the right of the yellow. These are where the specialty dry inks go. So why does overlay and underlay matter? Because it opens up creative possibilities. Let's see how. First, we'll take a look quick overview at specialty dry inks. Silver and gold can be used on their own. They can be combined with CMYK toners to create iridescent colors. They can be underlaid beneath a photo or an image to make it iridescent. That's an underlay. White is most useful on colored stocks, either on its own, think of white text on a black stock, or can be used underneath a photo or an image so that that photo or image can be printed on a colored stock without losing color accuracy. So that again would be an underlay. Clear can be a spot or a flood coat, that's an overlay. In my opinion, this is most effective as a watermark, either over blank stock or over a solid or a subtle gradient color. Here we see the same design given different specialty dry ink embellishments. The first card is standard CMYK. The second card is CMYK with a clear overlay. The clear creates the faceted effect on the background. Likewise, on the reverse side, it's magenta with clear specialty dry ink to create the facets. And the third card is CMYK with a silver underlay and clear overlay. The silver creates an iridescent effect, and the swirl that you see is clear specialty dry ink. The back of the card is an iridescent gradient with clear circles. And again, these are digital prints produced in one pass. It's a one-step process. These special embellishments, like white or metallic inks, spot UV, have always been available, but previously would only have been possible with offset printing. Foil is even more expensive and time-consuming because it requires manufacturing a die and then stamping foil onto each individual piece. Thus, specialty effects have often been out of reach due to time or budget constraints. Creating specialty effects using specialty dry inks is a time and budget-friendly alternative, especially for short runs or jobs that require personalization. For example, invitation packages, these are jobs which are short runs of multiple components, or gift cards, which have personalization, or business cards for multiple employees. These can be quickly and inexpensively produced using specialty dry inks. So just as a pricing example, we used to print business cards for a customer. They wanted black paper, black stock, printed with silver ink. We used to have to run that on an offset press. I calculated the cost per business card was $1.16. That same card run on the Iridescent with silver specialty dry ink, the cost is 36 cents each. So about 30% of the offset cost. Here we have some examples of creative use of white specialty dry ink on colored stock, black paper, craft paper, on clear stock like labels and window clings, and also as an underlay. For example, the yellow butterfly on the top right is printed on red stock using a white underlay. Here we have clear specialty dry ink. So you see a lot of watermark effects. It's also a simple way to add authentication. So for example, the ticket on the top left has a watermark in clear specialty dry ink. We can also do multiple passes of clear to add shine and dimension. Here we see gold and silver used alone or in combination. This produces beautiful effects. And finally, iridescent effects. This is the most impressive, in my opinion. It really opens up new and unique possibilities. Digital enhancements are shown to deliver results. Thanks to free software like Canva, it's possible for anyone to create a layout for any type of marketing piece. So what value do professionals, designers, marketers, and printers bring? One answer is adding digital embellishments to elevate print collateral beyond what has become typical. Consumers notice the difference that embellishments add. Which applications benefit from embellishments? Marketing materials like brochures, especially for luxury categories. Business cards. People want to convey quality and uniqueness via their business card. Invitations, especially for special events. We do yearly invitations for New York Philharmonic for their Chinese New Year concert, and those are all enhanced with gold. And authentication, a gold seal, a clear watermark, or an iridescent effect are things that can't be replicated. How have our clients used specialty dry ink to create impactful print projects? For a client who markets fine wines and liquors, specialty dry inks have made it possible to maintain brand identities even on smaller projects. So we'll incorporate specialty dry ink into many of their small and quick turn projects or projects that involve customization. This elevates even smaller marketing elements in a way that conveys luxury and quality. Specialty dry ink embellishments add value to printed materials. They create memorable effects which get people's attention, and they're applicable to situations with time and or budget constraints. So I thank you for your time, and I hope that you've gotten some creative inspiration.
Yeah, I know I have. That's a fabulous new equipment and wonderful to take advantage of it. Thanks.
Thank you.
And here's our third and last question from the audience for all of you. What is the value of clients having a good working relationship with a printing firm? What's the value of it? I could go online and purchase printing. Why should I have a personal connection?
You know, Ruth, what we found is there's a lot of companies that want to go online and just order online, but there's a lot of fallback with that. That's what we have found from our end is having a relationship with the client having a relationship with the printer has really proven to help. And we really like to think of ourselves as having a partnership with our clients and also being the consultant, being the expert. We've been doing this for a long time, and we're always willing and able to come into your office and help and talk about what you have going on. And we like to just consider ourselves an extension of your company. And we think we bring a lot of value that way by having a good relationship. I remember years ago giving out my home phone number, having clients call at nighttime and talk about particular things that we were working on. And you know, we like that. We like being a part of your business and advising you, even if it's something that we don't end up doing for you. I think it's important for us, for Hillary, Bruce, and I to all be an extension of your firm.
Good point.
I 100% agree with Brian. I think that, you know, obviously anything can be purchased from a website like Vistaprint or Moo, but the value that we bring is in collaboration and problem solving with our clients, because our expertise does have value. You know, you want to achieve a certain thing, we'll help you get there. And we enjoy that creativity and that opportunity to problem solve. And it's happened very often where we've used our knowledge of the business to take a project either to the next level or figure out before to reduce the cost. We're a great resource to have. And, you know, we probably have combined about 80 or 90 years of experience if you add up all the people here. And, you know, that adds a lot of value to the relationship and a lot of, you know, satisfaction in our day-to-day operations is being able to help people in that way.
Mhm.
Yeah, just to add to everyone's thinking and maybe to drill down a little bit on examples, you know, as our marketing, architect and engineering clients and construction clients evolve, they're now dealing with questions about painting and questions about materials and adhesives, and we're the one to turn for that. I mean, part of our role is to give you materials expertise, or if you're now dealing with an emergency and it's Saturday and you no longer have a week to do it, we're going to be the one to call, and we're going to be the one to open up our shop and help you with that. If it comes to needing an installer or needing an extra tool or you need an extra service, we're an extension. We all use that word partnering, but I think we all are giving you examples of that partnering in the real world when you're either in crisis mode or you're looking for something special. And like I said before, you want the best and you don't have the most time to do it. So I think that's where our traditional approach and exceeding excellence comes through for our clients.
Mhm. Great. And Bruce, as it turns out, you're nicely positioned for the next presentation. This is Bruce, of course, from ABC Imaging, getting into some of the specialty trade show displays, wallscapes, and all kinds of signage. It's an exciting world out there. Bruce, it's your time.
Yep. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate being part of this symposium. I've also appreciated for Hillary was talking about all those years combined, and I'm probably one of the ones in the big chunk of history of involvement with the industry. But I've been fortunate to be part of SMPS in New York for about 25 years, and then a number of chapters that we're involved with and at the national level. So SAB is pretty special to me, and I think it's a fabulous organization. And events like these, I think, are great. What I'd like to do is just take you on a path of, as we have evolved and we're showing you, we know that our clients have evolved. And, traditionally our architect or interior client would be asking us for a brochure, and now it's, okay, I need something special in marketing, or now I have to help my office put graphics on the wall, or I'm now a communications. So there's a lot of overlaps and a lot of extensions of needs coming from your organizations and your management. And firms like ours are sharing with you how we've extended our abilities to do more than just, a black and white flyer. So let me start off here with just some quick marketing items. I grabbed a few I do a lot of lunch and learn presentations. I just grabbed some slides from my presentations just to show you. We still have needs for marketing, and it gets a little unique. On the top left photo there is if you haven't seen a video book, we have a lot of our retail clients, interior clients will come to us to do a branded book with, their promo, either going into a proposal or as an independent piece, but it also handles the slide, the fly through that they may have for the presentation. So a lot of our clients may use this to give as a gift, in a presentation. Packaging is important. You're spending money going after this project, your company is spending thousands of dollars, and then now you're spending a ton of money on marketing support, and you do a great proposal. Well, maybe the packaging should be unique and stand out when you're sending, everyone is sending FedEx proposals to get to that client on time. Wouldn't it be cool if they had a cool package with branded about your company or about your presentation? We still do binders, but as I mentioned before, we've done binders in wood. We'll do them on different substrates. And it's about tailorization. It's really, this part of the marketing was still wanting to tailor projects to make it work. And then with our next slide, trade shows, as Ruth had mentioned, I figured I'd just grab one that was a little unique. Cool aspect of this display, as you can see, is it's very portable. So when you have a display going across the country and you've got to match, I've got to get the stand and I've got to get the graphic and I've got to make it all work. For this client, we actually came up with, a piece that they could put in their bag and send it and take it with them and put it up. And then on to our next slide, I'll show you, and I think Brian had mentioned this whole world. For a lot of our retail architects and our retail clients, we do a lot of work in the retail industry. For those of you who go to the malls, we produce the temporary wall systems that are at malls, at airports, even at restaurants. And again, I know in the traditional sense, we start off with the role of marketing, but I'll have clients come to me and say, Bruce, do you do this? Or who can I talk to about this? And it just came to us, and our project manager is asking, can we do this? Can we help? It's a way to get into a client. So we provide the graphics all in one shot for our clients, where we will do the graphics and these modular walls. And to the point before, they are sustainable. So they have an advantage over putting up traditional wooding and drywall. With our next slide, I'd like to show you some of our branded visuals. And to the point of this audience, the bottom right one is one of our construction clients. They decided to do a timeline of their history, large national firm, and we actually helped them with a wall graphic. And then on the top left, for those, that's an Amtrak piece we did for those of you who come to the city and see that. So we'll get needs that are either for our clients' internal needs for their own offices, or it may be for their clients' clients. With the next slide, what I'd like to show you is some more familiar. One of our engineering clients, I mean, you could read the letters H&TV. They looked for us to do dusted crystal for their offices. And then the bottom left one also is a dusted crystal, for the office that we were working with. And then again, so for this audience, if it comes up and they're asking and you have a need and someone, your project exec, VP comes and says, I need to talk to someone about lettering, well, we're a resource. And if I have it in-house because our capabilities, or Hillary or Brian have resources that can get to you, again, to their points, think of us as an extension for all these different types of branded visuals and marketing pieces. But the next slide, what I'd like to show you is something kind of cute. We do a lot of work for vans, and we have fabrication that we provide for them of different projects. This was SpongeBob, and we made all these squares and put them together. And I guess the cool thing about vans is they will spend money on a branded promo for 3 days and then sell hundreds of thousands of sneakers and then have us do a whole nother reiteration. And there's overlap. When our clients see that we do this, it may not be something that they immediately see a vision for themselves, but then like, wow, you remember you showed me that one project, maybe I can adapt it for something in the AEC community. So with the next slide, what I'd like to show you is one of our clients, it's Self-Evident Langen Engineering. I provide all of the interior signage for all their offices. And it's a continuity factor. There's a consistency of color advantage, whether it's the employee wall on the bottom or the posters on the left. The piece in the middle there is actually a magnetic print. If those of you are familiar with that, it's kind of an interesting variable that you can interchange the graphics. But you're coming to us as firms for consistency, for color expertise. You want to brand your offices. You have a request to come in to put something up. Might be just be one poster, but we're the ones to turn to. And again, our advantage is that I can do these across the country and help our clients with a consistent product. With the next slide, I want to show something a little different, and I'll try and move quickly. We had a major New York real estate firm, SL Green, come to us and say, look, we're going to rent out One Vanderbilt, our $1 billion construction, and we want the clients at the 30-story level when they walk into the space, even though it's demoed, to be able to see the total 180-degree, 360-degree veranda. So we actually, and as you move to the next slide, I'll show you that actually wasn't the view. That was a fabric that we printed after they had hired a photographer to take a 363 photoscape of everything around. The construction company on the project actually built a false wall, and then we applied our fabrication graphics so the president of SL Green could walk in with the tenant, might spend millions of dollars, and actually see what it would look like outside, and really, it was about the return on investment for him, and it made sense for them to do it. With the next slide, what I'd like to show you is another example. We worked with an experiential architectural client of ours. We did a project in Texas. These were special material called Phototext, where we actually put like 5,000 square feet of signage on their walls, and we installed it. We did all the work for them. And these queries come to our marketing teams that we work with. They come to us, even though traditionally they may not have, 10 and 15 years ago. This is part of that evolution that we're all talking about. With the next slide, what I'd like to show you is just a quickie. I don't know the players, maybe you do, but we do a lot of exterior signage as well. They could be 20 feet high, 30 feet high. This was a promotion for for Major League Baseball. So we do a lot of cross-section of stuff. And the best part of it for me, when I conduct the lunch and learns, is I could really transfer knowledge. I can transfer knowledge that I may have learned from our retail clients and give it to our architectural or engineering or construction clients on some of the issues that they face that we can kind of educate and preemptively help the projects go better. I believe the final slide just kind of reiterates, I know we brought up the topic before, but we do all feel it's important, and it doesn't have to be, sustainability doesn't have to mean exchange for cost savings. You can really do both, and you can actually focus on those areas. So it is part of our, overall program that we provide with our clients if they need it or if they ask for it. So with that, I want to thank you for my time, and I appreciate it, and pass it back to Ruth.
Thank you, Bruce. It's very interesting. The last part of our program, the part that I'm in charge of, is supposed to be about how designers and print consultants can collaborate. But it's really turned into my tribute to printers like our panelists. I've gonna have here 3 different projects, 2 of which benefited from printers' good advice, and 1 project that would have benefited if I'd only talked a little bit more to the printer. So I hope you'll learn from my hits and tips. This odd looking thing here was actually a poster for a lunch and learn at a design studio. They wanted to have something up on the walls that day, but had little time for production. Sounds familiar. Turns out their reprographics consultant, Brian, happened to be handling a blueprint order that day and suddenly suggested that maybe they could run the poster as a blueprint or blackline. So we figured, why not? Let's give it a try. The speaker involved was named Kathy McCoy, also known as Kay Mick, and she was an industrial designer who worked with architects. So we ran out about 5 of these prints, cut them to the shapes that you see, and added, well, a little bit of color with those adhesive back dots that you get at stationery stores. To our surprise, the design studio submitted this blueprinted poster to an international competition, and of all things, the US Library of Congress selected it for their permanent collection. Go figure. But it was all thanks to one printer's very creative suggestion. My next example is the one that really could have been done better had I known about Hillary's equipment. This was a brochure for a university's art exhibition. The way we had it printed, of course, there was quite a large quantity that had to be run off. So we could have saved a lot of money with Hillary by doing smaller quantities. In addition, we tried to make it a little interesting. I don't know if you can tell on the cover, there were debossed letters, the names of the artists involved. Now I would probably use a different approach, probably go with Hillary's gloss lettering and get a kind of a glitter that way, because that debossing required a special metal die to be produced and a wider cover, because you know what happens when you emboss or deboss lettering, it reads backwards when you look on the other side. So we had to make a longer cover and fold it over. Anyway, we could do better now. In addition, we ran a protective varnish across all the text pages, which became a separate run, and now that could be done with all the other colors being printed. So in terms of time and cost, we could do better with Hillary these days. Oh, and I do feel bad for the client who still has 300 extra brochures sitting in her office closet. My last example is actually 3 pages, so you can show them at your leisure whenever you feel like it, Julia. They're trade show display components. For these, we had the good sense to contact advisors like Bruce right from the start. We were given exact measurements of the client's existing display hardware. We got tips on how to specify colors when printing photos on fabric or other display surfaces, I should say. And of course, we were given very specific information on how to prepare our files so that they didn't cause problems for the printer. I have a personal motto: never stand between a man and his printing machine. So we always try to get in there and find out what's going to make it easiest for the printer. What do we need to make you happy? That's how we look at it. We were also given warnings of mistakes that other designers had made along the way with these types of projects. And the printer also gave us exact time requirements when our files had to be in order for the files to be printed and also shipped to the show in time. Oh, and the printers were always available for questions along the way. That was definitely the route to take. So as I said, this is a little bit of a love letter to printers, and I hope will give you some ideas when you work with them. Always think of them, because if they're not happy, you're not happy. In conclusion, thanks from all of us to you, the audience. I want you to know that we're happy to help if you ever need advice in the future. And with that, Julia, did you want to go to the chat room and see if we had any additional questions from our group here?
Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, feel free to join them, to put them in the chat. I don't see any currently, but I'll give people, a couple of seconds to add them if they have them. I do kind of have one that I've been trying to figure out how to word, which is, when's the best time to engage you as printers? Because I feel like for like bigger things, like I didn't even know a video book existed. So when we're developing like special marketing campaigns, should we reach out to you guys, first to see what's even possible? Or should we come to you with kind of an idea formed, and then you can tell us what our options are?
I can answer, but I want to go in our order. So, Brian, I don't know if you have an answer, or Hillary, but I can provide answers.
Yeah, go ahead, Bruce.
I would say two things. One, I think my message is really for each of us. The minute you're thinking about a project is the time to bring in your consultant. So if you think of us as consultants, then, hey, Bruce, I'm going after this project. It's for an embassy. I want to do something creative. Or, hey, Bruce, I'm going for this project. It's for Elton John's. I mean, we did a project in a piano for Elton John. A client was chasing, and the deliverable was put into a paper mache, piano. So that comes from the ideation phase. So there's a point that you're starting your ideation phase on a project, or someone's coming to you and say, okay, what can we do unique? What can we do that stands out? So I think the minute you have ideation, you should contact one of us at the same point and say, you got any ideas for that? And then the other part, I'd quickly mention that there are those of us who do, we do lunch and learns, we do presentations. We do one that has an AIA credit, and that at least gives you a chance of seeing everything that we do, or at least getting a PowerPoint that has it, and then it goes into your memory bank. So then hopefully, when all of a sudden a project comes up, you say, wow, Hillary showed me that in the presentation. Let me give her a call. I remember that example. So we have proactive measures to kind of get in front of you, as well as calling us in early on.
Right.
I absolutely agree with you, Bruce. One thing that I felt since we've started describing the capabilities of the Iridesc to our customers is that I think it works best when you're designing for it and you're designing for its capabilities. Yes, it can do things like emulate foil stamping, but what really makes it stand apart is things that it can do that are unique, the iridescent, the clear, and that really involves like seeing actual printed samples so you get a feel for what the stuff really looks like on paper, and then implementing that into the design. Anybody can do gold ink on a brochure or something, but what's really interesting is when people are thinking about the capabilities and designing for it. That's when you get really good results, and that's what I'd like to do with people.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Great. We do have another question in the chat, which is any suggestions for sustainable job site banners or signage? Vinyl is so meh, which I would agree with. Vinyl is a little meh. So if there's any other materials that are sustainable, but obviously can withstand maybe being outside or something like that, I think that'd be great to hear about.
I can take it. That's a tough challenge in the sense that, you know, the answer is that you speak to your reprographic or your signage company and say, okay, what materials are out there that have sustainability? There are materials and there are inks that are, you know, they degrade more quickly. There is materials out there, but you will be challenged with, okay, wait a second, we have to do the graphic, but we can't do the graphic on vinyl because it's windy, so we have to switch to mesh. You already have a number of variables to work through to maintain the graphic portion and to maintain the wind factors. But I would, you know, if I was to get that call, I would say, okay, here is some eco-friendly boards that we have that maybe instead of putting it on vinyl, you put it on an eco-friendly board. And then you just have to convince whoever that you're not going with vinyl, you're not going with mesh, you're just going to put it on a board. So there are examples out there and there are materials out there that at least you could factor them into the equation when considering, you know, which route to go.
Great.
Does that answer the question? Do you think?
I think so. And I'm not seeing any more questions, so unless someone wants to get one in real quick, I'm gonna move over to closing. All right, so if that's it on questions, I'm just gonna thank everyone for coming. This is my last workshop of my term as president, so I want to thank everyone who either helped plan or lead our workshops this year, as well as all of you for attending and supporting our chapter's education programs. And with that, I'll just wish everyone a great rest of the day and a great rest of the week, and thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
including us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you guys. Great job. And yeah, I now have to go to another meeting. So thank you all
Take care, everybody.
for
Bye-bye.
doing this.
All right.
Great. Thank
Thanks
you.
to everyone,
Yep. Bye.
and thanks especially to Ruth.
Yes.